Hey, I'm Pat B.
And I'm Adam Willis.
Rick Olive.
Mix Macabre.
And this is the Geek Down here on WEMF Radio.
Leaping forward bionically.
You're almost there. You're getting there. Working on the timing. It's okay because we're not going to fault you, my friend. We're just hazing the new guy. Let me tell you one thing. Look here, butthead. You know what? I'm going to cut you a break tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Geek Down here on WEMF. I am Pat B. In the house, I look to my left. My main man, outboxed the champs of 17 states. He's a formidable force. He's the mouth in the South, Black Adam Willis.
Yes, sir. I will accept all of that, actually. Thank you. How you doing, my friend? You all right?
Man, I'm doing okay, man. You know, things are always looking down, then looking up, and looking down, and looking up again. You know, I live a roller coaster lifestyle.
You sure do. You sure do. You look good, though.
Oh, thank you.
You look good. I'll give you that.
I'll take my fish oil and vitamins all day.
Which, yeah, you need to. It's good. It's good for the heart.
Hey, man, I don't want to go out like Mozart. Can't go out like Mozart.
That's how he went out.
I went out.
That's how Mozart went out.
Omega-3 fatty acid.
Of course, yeah.
Down the drain.
What do you say? It was Salieri brand.
Salieri brand fish oil. It's all coming together.
Dude, we are tragic on
yeah.
this.
But we got a good show. We got a bunch of reviews, a bunch of movies that I wanted to see that I hadn't got out to, but you did because I saw something else that we'll cover next week. We'll get to that later. But we got the new franchise Viagra movie.
Yes, indeed. The Rock, Dwayne The Rock Johnson himself has brought us another blockbuster.
Oh, yeah.
And by blockbuster, I mean 53% on Rotten Tomatoes.
No. Okay, we'll get to this later. But 53% on Rotten Tomatoes is the highest rated video game movie ever made.
I'm not poo-pooing.
So I'm saying this is like finding a steaming turd, but somebody like grated a little truffle on top.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, well, on that prestigious description, I introduce in-house correspondent Mix Macabre.
Yes, bring in the poop.
Yes. And speaking of poop, over in the corner, you know him, you love him. You probably don't, but he's got a case. Talking, of course, about what would we say? Macho Rick?
Ravishing
Rick Olive.
Were we saying Rollives or something?
Rollive oil. Rollive oil Rick.
Yeah, we can let you get it off Predator.
Yeah.
Oh, geez. It's not gonna help out, man. You ain't got time to bleed. Of course, we have an awesome, fun-filled show for you. As this man mentioned right here, we have reviews, we have interviews. We have all types of good stuff lined up, but first we got a little bit of sad news for you, because if anyone's a fan of just standard traumatizing military fare, you may know the name R. Lee Ermey. And R. Lee Ermey is an actor who passed away what was it?
Last night, I believe. I got the news last night. I was actually leaving a theater, and I put on my phone. I was checking like my messages and stuff. I went on Twitter, and that was the first thing I saw. I was like, oh, what a bummer, man. And the first thing I thought was, you think of
Full Metal Jacket.
Full Metal Jacket, yeah. Everyone goes there, but
wait, you don't go straight to Saving Silverman?
I was just gonna go there. Yeah,
that's
when it went right to Saving Silverman, as he plays the coach who's in jail because he killed somebody with one of the side markers there. But so he can do comedy, he can do the serious stuff, but he was like a figure in a lot of these movies, a very serious military man, and he nailed that part in Full Metal Jacket. You know what I mean? Just berating these guys. Really made a name for himself with that film, and he's gonna be sorely missed, man. I love seeing him and stuff.
It was the voice too. He had
just
that
It's just the cadence, you know what I mean? You could tell, like, obviously Stanley Kubrick is very particular with casting, and he saw something in him then, and it was obviously that that command that he had with just putting these guys down.
Yeah. Well, he was a real military drill sergeant.
That's how he. And so he the camera loved him in that movie, and just following him around and just seeing him just go after these guys. And you're just like, Jesus.
Yeah. Apocalypse Now. We mentioned Full Metal Jacket, which was the one that horrified me as a kid. I think like on an old episode we mentioned that, and I told my tragic stories about how I saw that movie when I was like 6.
Yeah, I also saw it way too young. Yeah. I don't think I was. I think I was more like 12, 13, but that's still too young for that movie.
Everyone's got their movies that they've seen too young.
Yeah, mine's Reservoir Dogs, definitely.
Yeah.
I think I was 8, 9.
Good choice.
Yeah.
Not what I.
Good choice. Great movie.
Wait, pause. I hope it wasn't a choice.
No. I was real quick. So I was sleeping over at a friend's house, and an older sibling had it on, and we were just in this when we're in the living room with them. So I watched most of it horrifiedly.
Yeah.
Okay,
definitely.
Yeah, I did not sit down deliberately to watch Reservoir Dogs when I was like maybe like 9 or 10.
This sounds like
6 years old watching that movie and wondering why this guy's dancing to cutting off this guy's ear.
Right.
Is just like probably the
Is
most
that what adults do?
traumatic thing you could think of, but it's actually just really cool, honestly.
You know what's messed up though? Around that age, and I shout out to my mother. She used to put on like all these old kung fu movies, and I saw cats getting blown up and sliced up and stabbed.
That was like Van Damme movies, all the VHS.
Yeah,
tapes
those
and stuff,
those two, and it was nothing. Tong Po rolls his hand in the glass. I'm like, oh, somebody
licks it.
Yeah, and that's nothing. But in Reservoir Dogs, he cuts off the ear, and then they show you it.
Yeah, that's
like you see it, and it's just like
he talks into it.
I'm asleep well tonight, friends.
Hello. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what makes it really real. I remember. I think Rick, what was yours? It was the first time you saw Debbie Does Dallas at age 3, right?
Yeah. Nah, I saw that at like age 6. Though.
Yeah. I did see it. Not 3, but 6.
I think everybody's seen that one. Like,
I
think that's like the universal magic porn that everybody has to watch.
Yeah, it's a Christmas
like
tradition
your
now.
intro porn.
Yep.
But my movie for me was actually Nightmare on Elm Street. Totally destroyed me as a kid, and I couldn't sleep for like 2 days.
Freddy Krueger, absolutely.
I stayed up for like 2 days straight, man.
Talk to these men. They cannot watch Pirates of the Caribbean to this day. Just memories of Johnny Depp just on the ceiling. Just
getting sucked into the bed.
Can we take a brief moment to mention that speaking of just Johnny Depp in that film, whatever happened to dudes in belly shirts? Why did that go away?
That did go out.
Just crop tops,
right?
man.
I think the last time we saw that was in that movie, The Program. So
anyone
that wore a belly shirt also
I just
got
remember
I'm just saying, Johnny
the
Depp
movie,
has like a dope crop top in that movie.
That was what they did. Even the football players, all their the football
just now we're talking about femme dudes. Like jocks would be like, the sweatshirt cut off.
I remember in The Lost Boys,
well,
he had a poster of George Michael on the door, and I always thought that was. I just thought it was odd because it was like it was George Michael like wearing a belly shirt like spread out. I was like,
was it odd though? Was it odd though?
It was just like,
in
maybe
hindsight, no.
No, but
personal inquiries on the show.
It was fun. I remember noticing it then.
So this is me officially saying, please bring back crop tops on dudes.
What?
I'll try to bring it back, but my midsection isn't what it used to be either. So.
Summer's coming.
No, you're right.
Crop tops are appropriate for all bodies.
It needs the proper star power, though. If we see John Goodman rocking the crop top, that's how it comes back.
Fair. All right, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, if you're listening, please wear a crop top.
I think he wears them all the time.
I'm sure he does.
I want a scoop shirt too.
He's that kind of guy.
We'll get a scoop shirt too.
I want to make sure we keep it fair and balanced. Kevin James, if you're listening, crop top, sir, all day. Paul Blart 3. Right there.
By the way,
I'm here for it. All bodies.
By the way, a movie I watched when I was a kid that it didn't really mess me up, but it was like a movie I shouldn't have been watching. It was Double Impact with Van Damme.
Yeah,
and they have that really intense sex scene.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Where
gosh.
one of the twin brothers is imagining him have sex with his girlfriend, and it's all in his head. Mm-hmm. But I remember watching that, and I was kind of alone in the living room, and then my mom walks in, and she looks at the TV, looks at me, and I just started crying because I was embarrassed, because I was obviously really enjoying it, and it was one of those things I'll never forget, the look on her face as she goes over and just hits pause, and I just leave.
It's hilarious because most Van Damme sex scene, movies with Van Damme in it, sex scenes were super viscerally explicit as hell.
Yeah, but on him. See, the difference in action hero is Schwarzenegger and Stallone. It was like maybe there was girls and there'll be some boobs and stuff. Yeah. Any Van Damme movie, it's always his butt.
Yeah.
You
know what I mean? It's like
explicit as all hell.
He's the eye candy in the
also,
movie.
like Nick Cage does that a lot in movies. Like I'm thinking of Drive Angry. I'm having that scene in that one definitely.
When we're talking classic JCVD versus classic. Well, technically, it's always classic with Nick Cage.
Yeah, any Nick Cage film is going to be a classic.
but whose butt more deserves to be the center
Van
of
Damme.
Van Damme and Lionheart. Come on, that scene where he's. Never mind.
You go Lionheart. I mean, come on,
JCVD.
In Bloodsport, the man with the splits, suspended splits.
There's also a good one in.
Kickboxer.
Universal Soldier too, when he's got to cool off because his body's over here.
Oh yeah, the camera's just panning. Yeah,
his butt, the whole body. I was like, Jesus.
The rise of the.
All right, so now that we've given a very fond farewell to Arlie Ermy.
Right, no, but we got it.
He
took us on a journey, but he's an amazing.
Knew him as that military guy. Who's that guy in the cast of that military guy? And then he eventually worked that into a separate career. Yeah. Like this was not. He's one of those dudes that got into acting late in life, and just proved that you can still do this. Just find your niche
Yep.
You know, so there are a lot of folks who think, you know, I'm not in my teens and I'm not in my 20s anymore. You know, I'm way over the hill. No, he proved you wrong. He was a success story and someone who was known. And the thing is, he was awesome at what he did.
Really awesome, yeah. And like I said, we kind of joked about Saving Silverman. I really do think he was.
You joked. What is your major malfunction?
He's absolutely hilarious in that
Black
movie.
Adam?
It's like, oh, you've been pitching loaves on the lawn? Good idea. And he goes out there, takes a newspaper. Like, oh, it's just so stupid, but it's so fun. It's just using that, you know, that drill sergeant mentality against him. You know what I mean? Against type, and it works perfectly for me, anyways. So yeah, R.I.P. man.
I'm right there with you. R.I.P. R. Lee Ermey, rest in peace. Robert Lee Ermey. Was it Robert? Was it Randall?
I don't know.
R. Lee Ermey.
I'm just gonna call him R.
Rest in peace. I looked at the name. It was perfectly normal. I always thought it was something weird like Rudiger, and he shortened it to Lee for more like mass appeal. It was a perfectly normal name.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So rest in peace, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Is anyone else taking up the military mantle now? I really don't see like Mark Wahlberg stepping in.
I've always thought the guy. I keep forgetting this actor's name, but the guy from Avatar that played the villain.
Oh,
he seems to be taking that
the one
role.
from Don't Breathe, the villain in that. Yeah, he's great, man.
Wait, no, you mean I know who you're talking about. He wanted to be Cable.
Yeah, exactly.
He was the original one to pitch.
Yeah, we had that discussion. You didn't agree with it too much.
Well, I mean, I thought give it to him just because he was the first. It was his idea.
I thought he'd have made a good Old Man Logan too.
But I remember him in. You know what? No, I rescind the statement because I remember him in Avatar.
Yeah.
Not The Last Airbender, the other bad movie with the name Avatar.
What's his guy's name?
He was the main military guy.
It's amazing that you have to clarify that.
There will never be a time that we are willingly discussing
the Avatar,
the live action Avatar film.
I don't know. You may want to do a worst of ever list.
What's the guy? I'm looking up his name.
His name is Stephen Lang. Stephen Lang, we're talking about, who's an actor who does have that old man look.
Is this the old man stance that we're
doing? It's the old man's. Well, he's like
old man.
He's like a living embodiment to old man strength. So
but he was legit jacked in Avatar.
He was.
Though.
He was frightening.
Yeah,
shoulders
were like wearing that blue guile type.
I didn't even watch that. I only ever saw
Guile right now. Is that what you're going
Every
for?
time he stepped on screen.
Guile at like 75.
I only ever saw it that one time in theaters, so I should rewatch it.
Avatar? No, you shouldn't. Save yourself the 6.5 hours of your life.
It was one of those few movies my mother was like, I was visiting her, and she's like, you gotta see it. It's the best movie. We have to go see Avatar. It's so great. And
it's amazing.
Thank you for retelling the massacre of the Indian people of America.
Thank you for retelling Fern Gully. We all needed
a movie was that popular and no one talks about it now.
Avatar?
Yeah,
because the whole thing was sold on.
I was just talking about this in my Uber on the way here. Actually,
like $700 million.
How the CGI from Avatar. Well, the CGI. We were talking about how like all movies now rely too heavily on CGI, and that Avatar was kind of that big turning point for movies really relying on CGI for their storytelling rather than using practical.
But that was
props.
Like
because there was nowhere else to go for it than people having sex with giant horses by connecting the tails. Because it's also how people had sex. So you put 2 and 2 together and you get bestiality. So I don't really think they had any legs to stand on.
Your logic is impeccable.
This is really insulting to furries, Pat.
Furries are not zoophiles. First of all,
I'm joking. Furries are delightful.
Like the major screen just flashed. Like, wait, what did you just say? Like, it made no sense.
We just lost like half of our if-oriented audience. I apologize.
No. The furries love me.
All right. Yeah, okay. Meet us after the show. We'll give you a scritch. What was I saying? I had a serious point to make before.
Did you?
Avatar. Yeah, I saw that before I got my vision corrected, or as corrected as it. Basically, I was like, "What's the big deal?" It's just some furry pollen falling from these trees, and then there's this blurry blue chick. I had no idea what like the beauty that everyone was. The spectacle that was big.
Maybe you shouldn't have gone. Maybe it's like you can't appreciate the movie for what it's.
Everyone's throwing around terms like cultural zeitgeist. I kind of had to be there.
You did, I guess. I guess you're right. I would kind of have dragged my ass there too.
No-win situation.
If I couldn't appreciate it.
Well,
I showed up and like dancing in the club.
No. To be fair, I am a furry who likes the color blue. That may be the reason I really got over. All right, so I want to talk about this.
Picture that.
Hey man, you know what?
Get it out of your head.
You do not need to. You do not need to. There was a 4chan thread for me and for me alone. What was it? We need to talk about this book.
Yes.
Number One with a Bullet.
Yes.
This comic. Oh, okay. You seem really impressed with it.
I'm very excited.
Okay, well, you want to tell our listeners what it's actually about?
Well, you can do the synopsis, and then I'll talk about how hype I am.
All right, cool. We're talking about Number One with a Bullet. Her social media is strong. Her variety show segments a hit. Nash Huang is at the top of her game, but when the iris shutter now this is a thing they have in the book, so I might have to clarify this later, but when the iris shutter contact lens hits the market, Nash life is personally invaded. The latest leap forward in technological progress, these contacts not only play video or augment reality, they also record with the blink of an eye. Fighting to keep her life together after a leaked sex tape goes viral, a clingy superfan is the last thing on Nash's mind. But that's exactly when the bodies pile up and the terror begins.
So for those, this is very similar to, if anyone's read Transmetropolitan, how Spider's glasses work. Yeah. So there's contact lenses in this universe that can take photos, record video, etc. And the premise, to get a little bit deeper on it, is basically that Nash is a little bit of a public figure. She's on TV. She has a really well-liked blog. She's very popular on, like, basically it looks like she's using Instagram a couple times.
I got Instagram. I got Twitter.
Yeah, something Twitter, followers. Instagram, some sort of social media. She's very popular. And
Snaps for the younger folks, y'all. And for the older folks, remember Strange Days?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. It's like
Catherine Bigelow. Eh?
Yep. Strange Days.
Thanks for just totally dating me, dude.
Brother, please.
Yeah, I know.
Find me a person in
Listen,
this room
geriatric folks, stop that.
So right. what's something I feel this really caught me that I loved, it kind of tackles what's happening the more technology is evolving. Yeah. Our privacy is invaded more and more. So she has this is very basic plot, and it's revealed very quickly, so it's not a spoiler. She has a consensual encounter with somebody who, unbeknownst to her, filmed her and then gets released online, and it not only destroys her career, but it fuels and enrages a stalker.
Yeah, and it's on some real shady stuff too, because like you see how these contacts work, and it starts off with this demonstration of, I thought it was like a reality show challenge or something when I saw it in the book. It starts off with, you see people in these contacts and their entire world is augmented, and how you hold up your phone and you see random stuff. Imagine if immediately
you just see it before your eyes.
It became that. Yeah.
Okay.
And these are how the contacts work, where they also record that content. So it's like people see the weird stuff you're doing, but also people just see your regular activities. So imagine if Google Glass wasn't like weird and creepy. Or was weird and creepy, but like people couldn't tell you had it.
It reminds me of like, can you like blink a few times and it takes a picture? It's the same thing.
Well, the thing is with this is that also like you can't tell when the other person's filming. There's no indication. Yeah. So
except their eyes like flash red.
Well, something that I really appreciated in this, I feel it is written not just engagingly, but everything is kind of plausible. It's like one step removed from our current society, where this advancing technology now.
That was my next question. Like, does the story address like the governing policy of that?
Yes and no. So it glosses over it a little bit, where it doesn't get too deep into it, because it's really hyper focused on Nash and Nash's experience. Mm-hmm. But it's implied that like you're not supposed to be filming people without consent. Okay. And
well, to be fair, that's a societal thing. Like it exists in society. That's a dick move.
This was very much a commentary on things like revenge porn, leaked sex tapes, invasion of privacy. It had a really, I think, strong message against it. The characters that perform these negative acts, are clearly portrayed as the villains of this story. And I feel as reading it as a femme person that has had experiences with people trying to leak things or whatever. For those who aren't aware, I'm a burlesque performer, so I don't have anything too racy, but I mean, I wouldn't want necessarily somebody taking a burlesque photo and posting it to some family thing, and I've had issues with that in the past, and this takes it to that next level where my reading it, I felt this sense of foreboding that this was so well written, and the characters I think were very intriguing and fleshed out, where I almost felt like, oh, I could see this happening like in the future, like we're almost there.
It got a little real sometimes, which I didn't find it unsettling. I thought this was a damn good read. I was mostly enjoying the dialogue too, because it's like a lot of things when they're written about serious topics.
You said like I didn't do any follow up on the book or anything.
How dare you not? Come on, man.
Scolding people again, Pat.
Okay, good. Well,
so you said a stalker situation happens on what's like on her side or on the other guy's
side?
So
she's being stalked by someone, and I don't want to say anything that's too spoilery, because like I want to say that the ending phenomenal and extremely interesting.
Okay,
and I think it was handled very well. But you see the beginning of each issue has a couple of exchanges from either Twitter, Instagram, whatever social media platform they're talking on.
I like that as a mechanic too, because it was just like
That's
it
nice.
put things in, I guess, a more modern day perspective.
So it's almost like the intro to each issue is you see one or two people talking, one of which is very clearly a stalker, another one is like a very much an enamored fan, and you see them, you know, like one of them is like, oh, you hussy, I thought more of you, or like, and then it gets like creepier and creepier. And I think that like I said, everything,
the closet hider and the neckbeard.
everything felt one step removed from our reality in a way that is plausible, and that's what made it, I think, so frightening to me, is that we almost live in that world already.
Yeah, it was
We're
like slightly
almost there.
hyperbolized.
And I think, and it also just in terms of a comic book, very interesting art. I really love their use of color. Everything is very bold color. Everything is really sharp, thick lines.
I'm surprised you said that. That's the one thing, and I really like this book. That's the one thing that kind of turned me off to it.
Everybody likes different styles.
Well, the whole thing was was very acid inspired. It looked like to me. It seemed like everything was really deep fuchsias, really deep oranges.
Yes.
And I thought it got a little too artsy it got a little more artsy than it intended to in terms of the artwork. So I'm like, I'm following the story, and then for some reason this dude's head is like hexagonal in one shot, and it got a little. What's up?
You need to finish it.
Okay, all right. You know what? Maybe I do because it's 6 issues, and I admittedly only got up to 5. I was running late for the show, unfortunately. So you know what? I'll reserve.
I will. I just want. It does get addressed.
I feel. Hold up. If I read like the last page,
There's
it
reasons,
turns out
Pat.
this whole time Nash was in the shower. and she opens the door like, "Hey, good morning." You know.
No. It's nothing like that. And that's the
Okay,
thing,
all
that
right.
it's very intriguing, and I found it very interesting.
All right, they're
what
gonna pull a
goes
St.
on.
Elmo's
But
fire and have the whole thing be in a snow globe.
Yes, that's all it was. It was just an autistic child with a snow globe.
Yeah. Oh,
That's the
okay.
thing.
Okay. As long
But
as it's
we
not
can
that.
agree to disagree on the art styles. I just found it interesting because I feel it had that kind of pop art influence that I really appreciate, where a lot of comic books don't have their own sense of style and rhythm to it, and I feel that this had that kind of electric, where especially reading it digitally, the colors really popped, and I feel that especially as things come into focus toward the end, it all really makes sense. And I think that it was very interesting to me also to have a lot of characters that they're almost drawn in different styles, where like one of the characters is her boss, and he's drawn a lot more realistically than other characters. I
Looked
found
a little like a Bill Plimpton comic to me. That guy's appearance there.
No, I can see that. Where he just, I feel that the character of her girlfriend, who's introduced very early on, this is not a spoiler, she's drawn a lot less realistically. She has very exaggerated features. Her hair is kind of flowy, almost anime in nature, and I thought it was.
When she rides a giant rocket ship to work every day, it's crazy.
But I thought that it was really interesting artistically, and I don't know if this was on purpose or not, but I do, based on the comic, think that it was, where different characters had different artistic styles kind of assigned to them based on their roles in Nash's life.
Okay.
Which makes sense.
One thing that really jumped out at me too is it's a damn entertaining book. Like all this stuff is happening, you're like, dude, that's messed up. And then she has a conversation with her girl, and I'm like, that's a conversation I would have. Cool. The writer's paying attention to the fact that this has to be like entertaining and has to flow in some level of realism, where it's like you see the somewhat remorse of the dude who did the dirty deed to her. You know, one thing I thought was cool too was the story and the artwork paid attention to itself. Like, and this might be a mild spoiler, so I'll skirt around as much as I can. There's one part where she's reading something about a video, and then she's like, "But I didn't notice that." She goes back and watches the video, and I'm like, and she's like, "Oh, what?" And I'm like, "Okay, that part was shown in the book." So I went back to view the panel of that video, and I didn't notice it either, but it's right goddamn there.
Yeah, they do a really good job of, there's something mentioned where when you're casually reading, you wouldn't notice it, but when it's pointed out to Nash, like, oh, this happened in your video, and you go back a few pages, you'll be like, oh my goodness, that really, oh my gosh, that was there all along. I didn't notice it all, much like the character. And so there's a lot of that kind of, almost the same as Nash does. And that's something that I find is really innovative in comics, where typically, you know, the reader knows more than the characters in the comic. Typically things are shown or revealed to you before them. You're learning everything about what's going on with Nash, and that's something else I think was really well done.
I'm giving this a thumbs up.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely thumbs
Number
up.
One with the Bullet, highly recommended. Boom.
Yeah, absolutely thumbs up. Loved
Boom.
it.
All right, cool. Man, I'm gonna kick it over to Ravishing Rick.
Why do you seem so bummed about it?
Because there's like 5 different nicknames that I'm trying. I'm like
Give us another.
with here.
He wants me to like have like 15 monikers. So it's like pick one, and it's like how?
Okay, the schizophrenic dick, Rick Olive.
Not gonna work.
No, I don't like that one.
Yeah, it's a little whack.
We'll work on it. All right,
Ravishing's cool. I'm just not doing the butt shit. You know, I'm not standing up and flexing my cheeks.
All right, well, you watch your mouth, sir.
Damn
all right,
it.
no, I was saying I was a little jealous because you got to play this game that to me looked freaking cool when I checked it out a little before PAX. It's called
Speedrunners from Hell.
Speedrunners from
Hell.
It's a catchy title. Rolls right off your tongue, that one.
It's really good.
I don't know why I went falsetto, man. I was trying
Never
to
heard of it until you threw it my way, but it's actually really good.
Really?
It's really fun.
Okay. All right.
I had a blast playing it. Did have to do a small little bit of research on it, but it's pretty much
all right. Thank
a
you.
bastard version of Doom that collaged with like a Bill and Ted, you know,
Sounds
Wayne's
amazing.
World
Yeah,
era.
this is selling it.
Era, you know, like era-esque flow, you know, ambiance of the game, and it has a ton of metal music in it, which is great.
Okay,
and the metal
cool.
music is pretty good.
Nice.
The way I saw it from the videos and the footage online was it looked along lines of Portal, like a puzzle solver, but the hook was the environment you're in, and you're in a hellscape.
So if I had to describe it honestly, it felt more like a what do you call those scroller games?
Side
in the
scroller?
game? Not a side scroller. It's a platformer definitely, but I don't know what the actual category for those games on your phone when it's like you're running through the dungeon, you just swipe your phone left right. You just have to constantly move.
Endless Runner.
It's an endless runner game. So it has this endless runner quality where basically you are Marty. You are this hillbilly metal music listening 90s guys, and it comes in. The art style is very great, like the presentation on the cutscenes. It's all comic style. It's all comic slides. It's pretty cool. And it slides.
The text is in Comic Sans.
Voiceovers are really good. You're basically just start off sitting there in your couch. Beer is great because beer is good for everybody, and he's enjoying a nice can of beer. And then Satan happens to just bash into your room.
Who hasn't been there?
I know, right? Satan's
Anybody
totally
in any
stolen
metal
my
music
beer before.
video or song has been there.
And Satan comes in and argues with him over his beer and pretty much jacks him for a 6-pack. And
Damn,
in the process of him jacking for the 6-pack, he loses his arm. And then at the simultaneously he cut
Satan or Marty?
both. They both cut each other's arms off.
Yo, what kind of prohibition has you like fiending for 6-packs when you chopping off like limbs?
Listen, man, you don't break into some guy's house while he's sitting down from a hard day's work.
I just remember them off
his
for
first
the
beer.
Devil or no devil.
That
you
first
don't do
beer,
that, yeah.
you know, and it was the first beer too. Like it was
True.
like they showed the picture of the 6-pack. There was that one beer missing, so it was the first beer, and he took the first beer too. So it was a little messed up. I was like,
how badly is he fiending though? Is this like a PBR?
he's fiending to the point where his vengeance for his stolen beer has forced him to augment his body to absorb the devil's hand into his missing arm, and then he chases the devil for his beer. So then he enters the realm of hell. So apparently there's 10 levels to hell.
Mm-hmm. Wait.
And for every level, there's 10 extra mini levels, and you're chasing the. I don't know if the devil ran through every obstacle, but Satan definitely is a jerk. But you basically have to traverse a puzzle. It's 10 levels, 10 puzzles per level. Mm-hmm. Every time you beat a puzzle, you go to the next level until you reach to the boss level, and then you have to progress in this fashion. And as you progress, it gets extremely harder.
So was Dante's Inferno like just the ultimate?
It's like Dante's Inferno on acid. You know, if he was just like a 90s stoner.
But if instead of Beatrice, he was just questing for a beer.
Yeah, pretty much. He didn't really care about Beatrice too much. He just really wants.
I'm just thinking of the devil from Futurama.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking too.
No, not like that, but but like I know what you mean because that's the first thing in my head. I was like, that's a pretty good scene. But
so you're saying he was musical?
No, it's great because it's got nothing but metal music playing around. I mean, and it has this very doomish feel because he has like the most random sayings while you're playing the game. Is this a portal to my beer? Like, you know what? I understand that. You know,
this bud's for you.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, why do you keep hitting the table, brother? We get it.
So no, because it's the beer, man. You know, I totally understand
the beer in the game.
I totally understand the need for wanting to get your beer back from Satan. So, but long story short, this game is actually really fun, man. It's the puzzles seem as you start off, you know, it took me a second to get oriented. So basically, you're timed, and it follows a leaderboard. So everybody has done this in a specific amount of time, and I think the person with the best time, it adheres to that time. So when you face with a level, you have exactly the amount of time that's been allotted to beat that specific puzzle. So you basically hit start, and if it says you got 5 seconds, you got 5 seconds to get to the puzzle,
hold on,
regardless
five
of what's happening.
5 seconds?
Well, it depends on the puzzle.
Okay.
So the puzzle that I'm stuck on,
you got 5 metal themed seconds.
I'm stuck
Run
on
through the most metal level of hell.
I'm on the 3rd level of hell, and I'm stuck on puzzle 5 of that level. And
you got a lot of those next time. You on the 6th level, stuck on the 6th puzzle.
Seconds is allotted to beat the puzzle that I'm on, which is ridiculous because the way I play, I'm just it's fast paced. I mean, and along the way you get thrown a lot of different mix ups. You know, like a portal, a little orb that you have to pick up to fly. But remember, this is all taking away time, so you have to be really fast. You know, you'll probably die, and it tracks your deaths, it tracks your stats for every level. Like on level 2, puzzle 3, I think it was, I had like 42 deaths.
You're getting like really specific.
No, because it got really addictive, bro. It really got addictive, and I just sat there and played it for an entire day. And then next thing you know, it was like 9, 10 o'clock at night, and I was like, oh crap, this is like I spent way too much time on this. All right. And the music was great.
I know those long ass stints where you just like, come on, man, one more level. I got to get through this. I got to get through this.
It was just like that, and then I just reached this. I'm at this puzzle now. It's ridiculous, Pat. Like I have a portal orb. Throw it up. The entire wall is encased with spikes. So if you anything outside of what you're supposed to be doing, you automatically die and you have to start over. Triangle's the restart because it's on PS4. So you have to make it out of this cylindrical tube of all spikes through the portal and time it to jump off, pick up the beer, and then you have to.
You got to pick up the beer along the way.
Then you have to like guide your way up again, and there's like like 2 walls of spikes, but you can't. You know, you have to adjust your sensitivity a little bit. For my question, you know, whoever you are, whoever you played, if you do like the game or not, just play with the sensitivity. It'll probably better your experience of the game, I guess, if you want to call it that. But long story short, I give it 2 thumbs up. I wish I put this on my Vita, honestly, because I just like to travel with games like these. These are the games I'll sit on the bus and play all day. And just, you know, until I get to where I'm going, then I'm like, all right, pause, back. You know, like, oh, I need to go to the bathroom real quick. Pause, play. Hey, I need to go get a cup of coffee because I'm on lunch break. Pause, you know, sit down and play for about 45 minutes. Cool. And eventually beat the game if they will ever allow me and, you know, get my 6-pack back.
Mommy never game at your house anymore, man. It's like, yo, okay, so why does controller smell funny? Well, you know, it's been in the toilet, man. Don't worry about that.
My gaming at my house is actually pretty good. I have my own specific controllers. I have controllers.
You got your own specific controller that you keep in the bathroom for just such an occasion.
No, my elite controllers stay in a very polished little curio cabinet.
All right,
I'm a collector, bro. You should come see it. It's actually
it's all good, brother. I'll be there. I'll just bring some Purell along the way.
Nah, no Purell, bro.
Yeah, you know what?
I'll let you know when the Purell's needed.
All right, cool.
If you're into that type of stuff.
I mean, I'm what?
I don't know.
Yeah.
You're heavily like.
I don't know where that was.
And I love how Black Adam, Black Adam just shifted. Like, I'm gonna get a little bit closer to D. He's looking at him.
Scritching earlier, talking about Purell.
It's a family show.
Furries are family friendly.
Started out with Van Damme's butt. For
well aware.
Okay, Van Damme's butt though. Yeah,
can only go so.
That's fair.
Okay, so John Krasinski recently directed a film, wrote and directed. A movie that I think blew my mind. I thought I was like in the popular opinion. Then I came into the show today, talked to this person right here, Miss Macabre, and they said, ugh.
No.
They said you saw A Quiet Place.
Said it was formulaic, I think.
Yes,
is what it said. So,
it's formulaic. It doesn't make it a bad movie.
And all I said is John Krasinski ain't crap.
Okay, you see the hatred I'm surrounded by. This was one of the most tense movies I've ever seen. Okay, first of all, we're talking about A Quiet Place, the new movie by John
Krasinski.
Thank you.
Jack Krasinski,
starring John Krasinski and Emily Blunt, and not many other people. It's a very small cast, and it's a movie that takes place with little to no dialogue. It's called A Quiet Place because everyone has to be very quiet.
Yeah, don't buy the nachos.
by the nacho. Yeah. The Earth has been taken over by these creatures, and they never explain how they got there. They don't spend a lot of time on the origins and, what they've done. We just know people are effed.
Good.
Because there's very few of us left.
Waste time.
Everyone has to be quiet. And it got right to the point. And the thing is, this was tense as hell because you start off thinking, okay, it's just a premise. It's going to be a gimmick. There's going to be some jump scares and stuff. And it didn't, harp on a lot of jump scares.
No, I like that, actually. There wasn't too many jump scares.
Yeah, I really...
More creeping horror than
slow burn
stuff.
Yeah, which I'm a fan of.
Like knowing characters are being stalked, knowing things are coming rather than something's behind the tree.
Yeah.
There wasn't
Also,
so much of that.
because of the movie being the way it is, obviously, with you can't make any noise because there's something hunting them if they do, right?
Yeah, the soundtrack was kicking, you're right.
And so it's just, it kind of makes it almost a silent movie in that
Almost
in that
a silent
way.
movie.
It reminds me of a movie called, I don't know if you've seen it, it's called The Tribe. And it takes place at a school for the deaf. And they can't, so they communicate. It's all hand signals like that. So it's basically a silent movie in that way. And that's the first thing I thought of when I thought of this movie. It's like it's using that formula, but not in the strict.
Yeah, I mean this has some dialogue,
some
some stuff, but overall, they're not a lot of dialogue, not a lot of talking.
There were similar elements too. I thought they found unique ways to get around that no dialogue thing. Different parts of the world because you expect
it's
this
not
ambient noise
just John
as well.
Krasinski looking into the camera every
It's
10
not.
seconds.
It was not by Wes Anderson. No. They do clever things like they use sign language. One of the characters is deaf, and they actually use that to the advantage of the story. I won't say the advantage of the family because they were just hosed from the very first minute of this movie, which is kind of awesome. And it's a movie that's not afraid to do gruesome stuff.
Yeah, there's some brutal stuff.
Yes, but it doesn't use that as a shocking
Is it
trope.
brutal?
Brutal more like you're watching it and you're like, ooh, and not so much brutal as in gory.
Gore, okay.
Yeah, more along the lines of, no, they'd never do that.
that's
Oh,
the first-
God, they did that.
Because I heard people, I was watching the trailer with somebody, and they're like, well, how good can it be? It's PG-13 for a horror movie. Usually
because it's much more psychological than it is gore.
No,
it's not like somebody's getting their head blown off. It's more like little things where you're like, oh, that's got to be painful, also emotionally jarring.
I love the way stuff was set up in this movie. Like, you'll see something that seems kind of just matter of factly, like, oh, that's inconvenient. And then 10 minutes later, you'll see, oh, that's completely hosed them. That little thing that I thought nothing of a few minutes ago is the thing that's going to destroy them. And I'm waiting for it to happen. I'm waiting for it to happen. And it almost happened, though. I'm waiting for it to happen. And waiting for it. Oh, it almost happened again. I'm waiting for it. Oh, God, I'm waiting for it to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to happen next. It's going to happen. What the
See, that's the kind of stuff that I have to say got me a little annoyed.
Oh, I loved it.
There were two. You know how people have been talking oh, they left some crumbs for you to follow. There were loaves of bread left around this movie. You could make a sandwich.
What about
with the things left in this movie? And I found the ending, which I will not spoil, a little, as I said, formulaic. It was a little I saw that coming so much, and in a way that I found not pleasant, because I felt that there was this Deus Ex Machina that rolled up, here it is, we're gonna save the day with this thing that we set up at the beginning. Ha ha ha.
It's I totally agree with you. I've watched the last couple. I stopped watching horror movies for that reason because it just got way too formulaic. And
I get that's part of the genre.
90% of the time, and it's part of the genre, but simultaneously, it's not even about the genre. When I do attempt to watch a horror movie nowadays, I really just want to see how it's executed. All right, did you guys actually do a realistic job of making this as good effort as you can to put forth a good movie?
That's the thing. I don't feel this was a bad movie. This was a good, enjoyable film, but it's not groundbreaking. It's not innovative. I didn't see it as anything too out of.
It can just be a good movie, right?
Yeah, I feel like it's a good movie. Enjoy it. I enjoyed it, but I don't feel like it's changed the genre. It's not something that blew my mind.
I disagree. Okay, I wouldn't say change the genre. That's a really grandiose
I'm talking
way to
about
put
the things that people have been saying about this film.
I would say this is a phenomenally groundbreaking movie because you're right. This has been done before. It's never been done to this degree and this well, in my opinion. It's not half-assed, and this would be a really easy cash grab if it was just oh, we're trying to be quiet because the monster's around the corner. Oh, we got the monster around the corner. They got us. If it was dumb
like that. Did they ever
that.
show the monster?
Yes, they did.
They do.
That's one thing I want to throw out there,
designed well,
too.
I thought.
Good.
I thought designed well. I do have to throw out, and this is a movie I loved. I really enjoyed this, but I'll never watch it again because when you see the monsters, there is a trypophobia trigger, I'll say. And it's one of those things where it's you saw them. I'm like, oh, that's oh, yeah. What? And I started to get uncomfortable. I have trypophobia.
I can see that. Yeah, if you have trypophobia, which I do not have. So
yeah, and it's one of those things.
For those who don't know, that's with lots of holes.
Yeah, lots of holes and different.
Don't tell me anything.
Or lots of eyes or holes.
Now I'm expecting holes.
Yeah, and it's a thing. It's a thing.
It's full of holes.
It's not plot holes. It's a thing that when you saw the monsters, yes, they're horrifying and they fit the story, but at times I just couldn't look at them. And I'm like, I really enjoyed this picture, but
I feel that was deliberate. I feel like that was deliberate.
Can I ask a question? What about using the bathroom? Like, if that makes noise.
Well, that's the kind of stuff that, like, you do have to put suspension of disbelief to, like, enjoy this film.
Because no one's,
because there's too many things, like, these monsters would have found them 1,000 years ago if this were the real world, because there's too many things that humans just have to do. But you got to, like, put that aside for the movie.
I thought they worked that well in the story. They do things like there's the floorboards that creak, a minor inconvenient bit of noise that you wouldn't really think of. They have, like, spots marked out. It seems like a world where people have existed with these things for a while, and they found ways around those little noises that are randomly made every day. And
so
the monsters,
executed well.
Yeah, and the monsters aren't stupid. They're not like, oh, I heard a leaf rustle over there. It must be people. No, it's like they know wind exists and leaves will rustle. They know water will fall, so they're not like constantly clawing at streams and stuff. But I thought the way they found ways around that was really clever, and that's the main thing that got me. It was clever and it was tense. And I expected jump scares, and they got me with psychological mess. And if it wasn't for the monsters making my skin crawl every time they were on screen, this would be like just one of my favorite pictures of the last couple of years, even.
For some of those reasons is why I found it less entertaining. I think because a lot of the things that you felt were like innovative, to me, I guess I don't want to say bland, but just some of it just seemed like a lot of the fixes for things were just so ridiculous. And I try so hard to like have that suspension of disbelief for this film.
I'm the same way.
But there's just so many things, like we were saying, like, they're not going to go attack all the water running or something, but like, why would the humans not just mimic those noises? Like, why, like there's so many things that I feel
like you're looking for a more perfect film.
I know. That's
produced.
I guess the reason that I am looking for a more perfect film is because everyone is saying like, oh my God, it was amazing, it was incredible. So I went into it with these expectations.
I try not to read reviews, or I try not to watch
marketing
for horror movies.
I had no interest in it. This is not my genre.
Like, I stumble upon the genre, like I used to love it, stepped away. Now I just stumbled upon stuff. If it looks interesting enough for me to watch, I'll watch it.
Well, that's what
and
made
if it's
me watch
executed
it.
Well, I'll praise it. That's it.
Okay. Well, I would highly recommend you watch this. Especially bring your lady, because as I mentioned before the show, someone who has had children.
She's like, no, here's a lady.
All right, no, don't listen to what they say. Okay, this one here has just the bias that just the football field.
You're trying to sell A Quiet Place by nature of like.
Man,
there's kids, and there's having kids involved.
Do it, and you'll see what's.
No, I'm definitely gonna give it a swirl. I wanted to watch it.
It's necessary. It is absolutely necessary. By the way, the movie we're talking about is A Quiet Place, starring John Krasinski and Emily Blunt.
I'm gonna give it a hearty meh.
What? You can't give it a hearty meh.
Why not? I don't want to give it a thumbs down.
I'm going to give him a meh because he made The Hollers, and I hate that movie so much. And if he does anything better than that,
this man did not.
Like, I'm going to give it a thumbs up as like it's a good movie. Go see the movie. It's a good movie. I personally didn't love it. I'm giving it a thumbs up because I personally didn't find it amazing, but that doesn't make it a bad film.
Doesn't make it a bad film.
Yeah, exactly.
Thumbs down is if you recommend people don't.
Yeah, I'm saying go see it.
I think we're kind of a generation of groundbreaking. Everything's amazing and everything's like the best thing ever.
I'm just not going to sit here and extol its virtues. I found it to be an okay horror film.
Like, we're in a society where like literally we have to be like engulfed into the movie in itself for it to be like super groundbreaking.
Well, it's like I was engulfed. That's my thing with Black Panther.
That was well done. I'm glad that they executed well though. Like I'm glad you liked it.
I'm in the theater like mixes in there like really.
I mean, I am sure. I mean, I also loved the monsters design, but then again, I used to have a poster of Lotus Boob up in my dorm room, so like.
Truth.
Okay, so there's definitely a clashing of personal taste here in style. All right, but I will throw out. I was serious about that trypophobia warning too, because that's something that it kind of hit me, and it was kind of jarring.
I get uncanny valley sometimes with like like robotic stuff. You know what I mean? Like I got it once in a mall with the body.
The mall Santa.
No, the mannequin, the closed mannequin stuff. Like I get too close to them, I get like weirded out.
When they start looking like real people?
Yeah, man.
Are you sure it was a mannequin? You sure it wasn't one of those companies that hires real people to be the mannequins?
Well, it might have been, but no. Either way, I didn't stick around.
No, that was just some guy trying to grab you.
Could have been this old woman.
You reverted years of trauma and psychology.
Just burying it deep and blaming it on something else, just like all my childhood.
Yeah. Pretty much. It's like everybody's childhood.
when I was 32, someone dressed like Pippi Longstocking in a... No. Okay,
Yo.
so...
Longstockings is coming.
So you got to see.
Y'all remember the word?
Dude, I used to
Did y'all-
watch the hell out of those shows as a kid.
Did y'all get
That's
to
what
see
happens when you're poor.
Rampage?
You watch whatever just comes on, and it's like you appreciate the hell out of it.
All right, excuse me, y'all. I believe Adam had a question.
So everyone here besides me got to see Rampage?
Yes, we got
Yeah, I
to see
saw
Rampage.
Rampage.
You're excited about this
And
one
your
too,
life
which
is
is
all the poorer for
Man.
it.
It's my life is,
Oh.
is
baby.
drab and gray.
I thought
guess
it was
I just
great.
missed my friend.
All right. Based off of the 1986 arcade game Rampage.
Loosely.
Yeah, this movie.
Based
loosely.
enough off of the 1986 arcade game Rampage.
Because
about
the story of that game was so detailed.
the story of that is
and
very
storied.
simple. I love it because again, much like A Quiet Place, it wastes no time with filler and pre stuff. Exactly. It gets right to the meat of it. It's a story about 3 individuals who get mutated by something.
Individual
By
animals.
3 individuals, yes. And then
Go
they
Peter.
go on a quote-unquote rampage throughout the city. And then if you played Rampage World Tour, they go on a rampage
Which I have, and it
throughout
took me
the
an
world.
entire
I
day
love
when I was a
Rampage,
child.
the
It's
game.
so good.
Well, if you're like me and played Rampage Universal Tour, somehow they end up on the moon. Rampaging
I
just
had
as
all
hard.
did
these
not
games
play
on my
Universal
computer.
Tour.
Yes.
That's great.
Okay, well, are you like me, one of the few people on the planet who actually beaten a Rampage game?
I have to
beat
be
the
honest
first
with you.
one.
I have no memory of if I beat them or not.
I beat the first one.
I know I beat the
all
first
right.
one. I
Just
know
the
I
first one.
definitely beat the first one,
Okay.
but
And
I
that's
have
a-
no memory of if I beat any others.
I didn't even know
I
they
beat
released
Rampage.
Universal Tour. Like,
Yes,
didn't
I
even know
beat
that came out.
Rampage Universal Tour because there is no way anyone could ever afford to beat these in the arcades because there is no game, and I mean no game
takes-
designed more to just like siphon quarters out of your pocket because you die
And
so
it's
quickly.
so long.
So very long. I emphasize I beat Universal Tour because I played this for upwards of 3 hours.
Yeah, no, I played these all on my computer.
Yeah, I had to.
computer games. I didn't play them in the arcade.
I got an emulator. I played to the very end of
Yep.
Universal Tour. I took these cats to the moon. We broke down every space station, and I will tell you, there has never been a more fleeting ending, a more fleeting completion to a long, arduous task than
such a
beating any
bummer, yeah.
Rampage game.
Dang.
Because
I hate that.
I don't know how it was with the first Rampage. When
Yeah.
you beat Universal Tour, you know what you get? You know what your big prize is? The credits.
Oh yeah, you just get credits in
It's
the first
just
one. You just get
game over,
credits. Yeah,
and it
That's
was
it.
Good job, you monkey.
yeah. You don't get anything in the first one.
Oh, why?
You just get like
And
the end.
You just got the pleasure of destroying
Yeah.
buildings and
Yeah.
destroying society.
Which brings us to the movie, which
Yes.
is here's my official review: the pleasure of just watching buildings get destroyed. And I have to say, real nice touch. Real tired of getting New York and Los Angeles always getting the monster damage. Real nice to see Chicago brought
You got
into
the
the
nice
run.
mean streets of Chicago.
That's
No, but
true.
it was kind of cool.
They
It's
took
kind of
down
cool
the
'cause-
bears.
No,
Why
it
was there
doesn't-
no bear? There should have been a giant bear.
There was a
you can
bear.
only make
Get
so
it-
much.
well, there was
There
a
I
bear.
was
also
a bear.
look.
The giant bear. Get
Yeah.
a DLC pack.
There's.
it
I
with-
like the
R.I.P.
wolf was
R.I.P.
spiky.
bear.
The wolf was spiky. It was a nice and spiky wolf. He was here for it. The designs were pretty good.
Yes, they were.
This movie to me was just the right amount of goofy.
Yeah.
Where a lot
I
of
like
it was like, why is that happening? Plot, shrug. Like, don't go into this movie being like, oh, I want an elegant film. You want to watch a giant white gorilla smash stuff
When
and
I
The Rock
heard
look
it
hot.
announced,
Go to this movie.
When I heard it announced, I didn't watch anything because 90% of the time they give away the whole movie with the trailer. So I try to stay away from
Yeah,
trailers.
I
so I
watched
just
no
saw
trailers.
like
I
really
watched
brief
no
marketings
trailers.
and I would like flip the channel. So when I came in and I watched it, I was surprised to see how so many people like Joe Manganiello was in this.
So many people
Didn't
in
know
this
he was
movie.
in that.
So many people in this
I
movie.
knew The Rock, you know,
Yeah.
the other guys playing Negan.
Jeffrey-
I'm sorry,
Jeffrey
Jeffrey
Dean
Dean
Morgan.
Morgan. So everybody
You
did
can
a
just
great
say
job.
Negan.
he
He's
was
super favorite
He
character.
was good in
He's
that
just
too.
neat.
He
Super
was good
good.
in Rampage.
Movie was what it was.
I
It's-
feel like everybody in
was
it
just
just
like a
seemed to be
guilty
having a
pleasure.
good time.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like everyone just had like a good time making this movie.
Oh, yeah, I would have too.
I think so. This was The Rock from Walking. This was Dwayne Johnson from Walking Tall, Negan, and Joe Manganiello from his Magic Mike role. All teaming together.
Oh, man.
Dwayne alone, man.
Yo, Walking Tall was dope. I don't know what you're
Oh,
talking
no,
about.
I
This
love
is
Walking
great.
Tall.
I-
Yeah, I just, you know.
It had just enough plot to hold it together, but you know that you were there to watch The Rock flex in a tight shirt and
Pretty
then
much.
giant animals smash things.
Well, you were there. I was there to see the giant gorilla flex his abs and then, like
Good old
swinging all day.
George.
Good old George.
I
Okay.
really want a super cut of every time The Rock screams George from this movie
know. Oh my
because
God.
it happens a lot.
It's like the Tom Cruise running.
I felt like he was just
That's
like his
20 minutes
personal
long, by the way.
activist.
It's 20 minutes. That's,
It'll
that's a ridiculous
be
video.
like every time they say hot tub time machine cut together.
Though I really,
Okay, so
though
on
I
the-
really enjoyed the antagonist of the movie, the brother.
The brother?
The guys who ran the company. I forgot the name.
Oh, yes, yes.
Fleeting, but the brother was hilarious. I love that guy.
All right, okay. So
Every
Was
time
he a
was
brother
scene,
or
he was the brother.
You know, he was very Caucasian, like pale. The man was
from
translucent.
the Caucasus Mountains of Caucasus.
There was two of the pastiest white people you've ever seen
Pretty much.
in charge of this.
Though the girl I remember from some movie or show, I just can't.
Harold and Kumar. Well, she's on an actual show right now, but the movie you're thinking of is Harold and Kumar.
Oh, yes.
Go to White Castle,
Yes.
and she was Freak Show's wife who tries to institute a threesome with two random strangers they picked up. This is nothing
Man,
to
that's
do
a
with,
movie I haven't thought about in a long time.
You need to go back and
No,
view.
that's a lie. The last time I thought about it was shout out to my Katsicon roommates who messaged me, "Do y'all want White Castle?" Then roll up with like 50 White Castle burgers to a convention, so that all weekend I'm ironing White Castle burgers to reheat them, eat them.
Nice.
And that's the last time I thought about Harold and Kumar.
Prison style.
Side note: there are various videos you can find online of ways to get by cooking your own food and basically not Frankensteining, life hacking your way through a weekend in a hotel room.
Yeah, welcome to anime cons.
Yeah.
It
Okay,
reminds
but we've
me
talked
of, He Got Game when he gets out of prison and he's making the cheese sandwich.
Oh, yeah,
in
no,
his
he
bedroom
was-
with like an iron, something like that.
Yeah, he was following Prodigy's prison cookbook, man.
Damn right.
Which you can purchase for I think $29.99 from Amazon.
$2.99.
But yeah,
All right,
Rampage.
but yes,
Rampage.
break down the synopsis for us, please.
The synopsis of Rampage. Okay, the briefest synopsis.
The real synopsis.
So there's this dude played by The Rock. What was his last name? Okoye?
His last name. His name was
They, like, barely-
David Sequoia.
They barely
gave
say
him a
his
Okoye.
name. Like no
Okoye,
one even
sir.
cares who he is.
The very Samoan Rock playing a Native American.
Yeah. Okay. Great times. So he loves
Plausible.
his buddy. His buddy's a white gorilla that he rescued,
He's light
and
brown.
so he really loves his gorilla pal. And these canisters fall from the sky that certain creatures encounter. I don't want to spoil anything, but as you can see from any trailer, it's
As a result.
there's results. They get big and angry, and then they go on a rampage.
So the Rock's
And that's the plot.
Indian and the gorilla's white. And what the hell is going on?
Well, no, he's
so many
not,
ways
he's
you
not
could
wrong.
break that down.
Yeah, no,
He's
no,
not wrong because the lizard was from the Everglades,
Oh,
so
yeah, the
that's
lizard-
like right on the border of,
Yeah.
of
It's like a
Cuba.
blue wolf. I don't know what the
Well, the
Well,
wolf was
so
like
you
the
could break that
wackiest
down in
one
so many
because the
ways
wolf,
because-
the wolf got like double plus mutated, and
There's
they
a
never
wolf
really
with
like get into
tusks.
it.
There's a
So
No, I
wolf
thought
with
the other thing got
tusks
double
and
plus
wings.
mutated. Because when
Well,
it came
the
into the
gator-
scene, I was like,
No,
whoa,
that's
that was
true.
pretty disgusting.
Well, the
looking,
thing is that they were trying to make it almost similar to the game, where everything's all wacky and
Yeah,
stuff.
true,
kinda.
But
true.
so basically, like, but that's like the plot. Like, I'm not joking. Like, the plot is like, evil
Actual-
corporation is doing genetic editing. Canisters fall from sky.
Yeah, to put it in perspective,
Animals
this
turn
is
into
like
giants.
Shrug.
put it in perspective. This is dang it, Dick Jones. What was the company from RoboCop?
Oscorp.
Oscorp.
No,
was-
not
not
Oscorp.
OCP.
OCP.
LexCorp. Okay, OCP.
It's
Thank you.
OCP.
I'd buy
This
that
is
for
like
$1.
because it has
This
like
is
the
like-
Oscorp symbol. It looks just
No,
like
I got you. This is OCP releasing hazardous chemicals out into the wild and then just trying to reclaim their property when they find out we can still make a profit off this.
This was very much a like Captain Planet episode plot.
Oh,
Do you know what I mean? It had that
To the
kind of like
extreme,
90s.
yes.
No, but it had that kind of like
This
80s,
Rock- The
90s
Rock is
anti-pollution,
This was the
Can't
Captain
play no
genetic
Planet.
modification feels. Like it just had that vibe of like, you know.
This was the Captain Planet early 2000s reboot, hardcore reboot of Hoggish Greedley's plan to overthrow the world with giant mutated creatures.
No, but
Actually, no.
seriously,
Technically, that would be more verminous scum.
that would be more verminous scum.
Okay.
But it's still like, yo,
Scum.
Captain
I'd
Planet
love to
had the
find out.
best villains.
those are some
I
good
love-
villains,
They are
though, on
so
that show.
aesthetic.
And if you pay
Those are
attention to
some
the
good
show, those
villains.
were legal names. So
Yes.
someone actually named their child Verminous Scum. someone foreshadowed naming their daughter Blight.
Well, when you look like that, like
Yo,
that
Blight,
golden pig
though.
monster.
She didn't
man,
look like that at
Blight
birth.
was my. Blight
That was
great.
Hoggish
Oh, yeah,
Greeley.
under the hair.
Hoggish Greeley. That
Oh.
boy's parents did not love
Cartoon
him.
character.
But yeah,
And Loot and Plunder. That was
the
just
thing is, but the thing is this, like we're making jokes about this, but Rampage on par with that. So you need to go into it with that level of silliness.
yeah,
Like,
have fun. Get ready to
it's-
have fun. Don't expect
it's not a good
Listen,
movie.
there's a fair amount
but it's
of
a good movie.
there's a fair amount of legal swearing in it. I was in
Yeah.
a theater full of kids because I brought my kids to watch it.
They
a second
definitely
time.
clocked as much as they could.
With legal terms with like 5-year-olds in the theater. It was fine. It was great. Kids were laughing. I had a great time. It's not super science. It's not rocket science, so don't worry about it. Just go enjoy it. But I'm going to say this, though. Shout out to Dwayne Johnson. My kid gets to grow up. I grew up in the 80s, so action stars for me were Sylvester Stallone, Arnold. Shout out to Dwayne. My kid gets to watch the first black president, Dwayne Johnson being like the top of the notch action star for me because I'm enjoying the movie. There's a trailer for another movie that is coming out during Rampage where he basically it's called Skyscraper and he's playing a guy with a prosthetic leg.
His movies are so thinly plotted,
because he's trying to stay in that fine line of like family movies.
Yeah.
So and like remember the previous one when he was like in the helicopter for like 90% of the freaking flick, and
it was San Andreas, yet had nothing to do with Grand Theft Auto.
But he plays my issues with The Rock is like
you have issues with The Rock.
He's so focused on pleasing everybody.
Dwayne
The
Rock Johnson is such a good guy.
Okay, so
he's a really good guy.
I think a lot of that is as phony as can be.
No. I don't think he's a human too. I think he's human. I think he's shown times where
he's a bad guy, and that's not what I'm saying.
Well, okay, your beef is you think he's focused on pleasing. I don't think so. I think he's just pleasing.
So what do you want? Like, so before we close, I just want to know one thing out of like, if you can, like, what are you looking for? Like, you want him to do like a really serious movie where he can actually show skill?
I don't
do
know.
You expect
Adam wants Scorpion King 3.
Okay, but like Scorpion King's so good.
Oh, we're gonna disregard that.
I'm just gonna
we're gonna strike that from the record.
I don't know how old you are when you saw Scorpion King, but it wasn't.
All right. It came out.
All right. I do have a negative about. I do have a negative about Rampage because one thing I did notice about the movie is while we're having a good time, we're watching all this wackiness go off on screen. It seemed to be disjointed in the type of movie it was at times. Like some things were really comical, and then the next scene will actually be like a little more like
really?
horrible.
It's not cohesive?
Yeah.
And you know what? Believe it or not.
Not a cohesive piece?
Like some parts were straight out of like a horror movie. I didn't expect it to get like raw.
Well, there's
and
also
then the immediate next scene, there's like slapstick.
And also like I feel like it got weird on like, are we supposed to root for George? Do we root for George? Is George our friend? Is George a bad guy now? Is George a good
my
guy?
best friend. What have you done to my best friend George? It's like,
but like, do you know what I mean though? Like it was kind of like,
bro, you want to go deeper than that? It's like he was advocating for George the whole movie.
Yeah.
Like Black Lives Matters, but George is albino with blue eyes. Dog, I wanted to tear that apart, but I let it go and I enjoyed it for what it was. Like, let me enjoy.
All right, we've shied away from
even the gorilla's white.
on the subject of George. We're running dangerously low on time, so just real quick on the subject of George, we've shied away from the monster fight itself.
They were great,
and
they were real good. Lots of stuff got smashed. I was happy. Also, the way all the monsters are taken down at the end. Mwah.
It was clever. Another bit where it may have gotten a little too raw, but I was just like, you know what? Oh, that was unnecessary, but I'm still very into it. You know, and I
really enjoyed the wolf. The wolf did like so much.
My favorite.
The wolf was a character.
Ridiculous.
Such great design.
I was ecstatic when. Oh yes.
Sorry. So is the city empty or is it people just dying in the building?
People.
The black guy. The black guy wanted to save the people, but the guy didn't want to agree with that. So this thing, you know.
All right,
so the city's not abandoned.
Reiterate,
right?
This is a PG-13 movie, and I feel like that answers it for you.
Yep. There you go. Just on a quick final note, because I do have to call out that the movie did make at various points make references to the game, and I think that was just so they acknowledge, as wacky as we get, we don't want to lose this
highest rated video game movie. At 53%. Highest rated as of right now.
This beat out Mortal Kombat, bro.
This beat out Tomb Raider.
Mortal Kombat.
Tomb Raider.
Yeah, that
Tomb Raider made the list.
I like that last Tomb Raider, baby. It was.
Oh, I didn't see that. I didn't see that one.
Okay,
is it that good?
Or Street Fighter, starring Raul Julia.
Stop.
And Jean-Claude Van Damme with no butt.
Can we not touch that movie? Actually, that's like my guilty pleasure.
All right, well, I'm giving Rampage a thumbs up.
Yeah, I'm giving it a thumbs up. Absolutely, it's just silly good fun.
Take your kids, great.
All right, so an Adam, Tom, who did not see this movie, did we sell you?
Yeah, I'll check it out right after the John Krasinski movie that I'm begrudgingly.
You gotta see. Oh,
I'm gonna see it. Bro.
All right, okay.
We gotta. I saw a movie we're gonna review next week, so that's.
All right, so that was Rampage, starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and several other people, but mostly Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
And the comedian from Watchmen.
It gets a thumbs up all around. Also, I love how they ended with like.
It was almost 2 hours of listening to Dwayne say George.
Yeah, pretty much what I'm saying. I want a supercut of him just saying George.
George.
George. George. George.
Yo, See if you can find a clip of the George of the Jungle theme song, just so we can go out on a high note. All right, but this has been the Geek
awesome.
Down here on WEMF Radio. I want to thank you all for joining us for another action-packed, fun-filled show. I want to remind you all also, if you heard anything tonight you want to chime in on, you can hit us up at geekdownradio@gmail.com. Also, if you're watching on Twitch, we're also always following the stream there. You can just send us messages, see what's going on, battle back and forth. And also, we're waiting on just Johnny to come back with Tales of Overseas, so we'll see what's going down next week. Until then, you can find us on SoundCloud. Yes, this guy right here has stuff prepared. That's how game we are. All right, you can find us on YouTube, on SoundCloud. Find us on iTunes, on Facebook, on Twitter. You can follow us and see all our shenanigans offline as well. Instagram, you can see the smiling faces and get updates on cosplay pics and the like. And you can always hear us right here on WEMFradio.com. You can check out all the goodness on geek-down.com for our antics between the weeks, and we'll catch you all next week. Same bad time, same bad channel right here. But until then, be excellent to each other. Peace.